Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're stepping into the world of low kicks. You know, those foundational strikes in MMA, self-defense, often kind of overlooked for the flashier stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
Our guide for this is Mark Hatmaker's No Holds Barred Fighting, the Kicking Bible. And look, we know you want to gain knowledge fast, get right to the good stuff, and that's what this is about. We're going to distill the core ideas of low kicking without getting totally bogged down.
And what's really interesting right from the start is Hatmaker's focus on, well, practicality. Forget the spinning movie kicks. This is about what actually lands, what works when things get real.
Exactly.
And, you know, it might surprise people just how vital that simple low kick actually is in those moments.
Totally. So our mission today is pretty clear. Understand why fighters rate low kicks so highly, why they're considered like high percentage moves, and just as importantly, how to kind of wrap your head around using them. We're digging into this manual. It's got photos and everything, so we should get a pretty solid picture. Okay, so where does he start? What's the mindset behind it all?
Right. So he lays out this core philosophy first, and it really boils down to prioritizing what's most likely to work, what's most effective. He even brings up the Pareto principle.
Ah, the 80-20 rule.
Exactly. That idea that, you know, a small handful of your core techniques are going to give you most of your results in a real fight, whether that's MMA or a street situation. He mentioned this in his Savage Strikes book, too.
So it's like, focus your energy. Master the key things instead of trying to learn absolutely everything. Makes sense. That applies everywhere, really.
Absolutely. And he backs this up, quoting Bruce Lee, which echoes the Tao Te Ching, actually. It is not daily increase, but daily decrease.
Daily decrease.
Yeah, think of it like refining your best tools, getting sharper with them, instead of just collecting more and more tools you might barely use. Depth over breadth, basically.
I like that because, yeah, you see those highlight reels, the crazy high kicks, and you just assume that's the peak, right?
That's the image, for sure. But Hatmaker tackles that directly. He says, look, those KOs are awesome, but statistically, most fights, especially where rules don't, like, encourage fancy kicks, they end with punches, subs, or ground control.
So the flashy stuff is more the exception, kind of proves the rule.
Precisely. And that leads straight into the strategy of low kicks. It's usually not about the one-kick knockout.
Okay.
Instead, Hatmaker frames it as punishment, wearing the opponent down, doing damage over time, and, this is key, setting up those other high-percentage attacks. Your hands, your takedowns, getting to the ground.
Ah, I see. So they're like the setup crew, softening the target for the main event.
You got it. Think of them as chopping down the tree before you try to push it over.
Okay, that definitely shifts the view. They're not the finishing blow themselves, necessarily, but they weaken the foundation. What about learning them? High kicks look super hard, you know, flexibility, balance. Where do low kicks fit in?
Right, and this is where he talks about speed of utility. His argument is that low kicks are just way easier, way faster to get competent with because they need less crazy balance shifts, less extreme flexibility than, say, a head kick. So a much wider range of people can actually learn and use them effectively, regardless of, like, natural athletic gifts or how bendy they are.
That's good news for us mortals. Makes you think sometimes the best tools are the ones you can pick up and use now.
Exactly. And think about pressure, stress. What happens then?
Right. Complex stuff falls apart.
Yeah, stress studies show exactly that. Complex motor skills deteriorate first. Simple, well-drilled actions like a solid low kick, much more likely to hold up when the adrenaline's pumping.
That makes total sense. You default to what's almost automatic. Now, he has this bit, speculation corner, about demos versus real fights. What's his thinking there?
Yeah, it's a sharp observation. He notes how, you know, you almost never see those super high spinning kicks in actual MMA fights or documented self-defense, even though they're everywhere in demos and movies.
Why is that, does he reckon?
He throws out a couple ideas. One is like a Darwinian selection for techniques. Only the stuff that consistently works survives in the chaos of a real fight.
Natural selection for fighting moves.
Kinda, yeah. And the other links back to what we just said. Maybe the stress just inhibits the ability to pull off those really complex moves effectively.
Right. When things get serious, your brain just filters out anything that isn't like the most direct path to surviving or winning.
Precisely. And for listeners who maybe have trained higher kicks before, he makes a point for them too.
Oh, yeah.
He acknowledges, look, your balance, your coordination, that'll probably make learning low kicks even easier. But he warns against the because it's there fallacy.
Because it's there. What's that mean? Like, don't do it just because you can.
That's pretty much it. The tendency to use a technique just because you know it even when a simpler, more direct option would be way better in that moment. He uses this analogy of camera phones. Before they were common, nobody missed having a grainy camera on their phone. But once it was there, suddenly people used it for everything, even when they had a better camera nearby.
Huh. So the fancy high kick is the camera phone sometimes. You throw it because it's in the toolbox, not because it's the smartest tool for the job right then. Like having a Swiss Army knife when all you needed was the screwdriver bit.
Exactly that. He mentions fighters who are winning with basics, then tried something flashy and gave their opponent a chance to recover or counter. Strategy is key. Pick the right tool.
That's a huge lesson, really. Not just fighting. Don't overcomplicate.
And the last piece of his core philosophy, kicks are just one part of the system.
Right. Not the whole game.
They got to work with your hands, your takedowns, your clinch, your submissions. He specifically shoots down the idea that you can just, kick someone away forever.
Yeah, that always seems kind of risky. Just trying to use leg reach to keep punches away.
It is. Your legs are long, sure, but they're not an impenetrable wall against someone determined to get inside. He calls it a car bumper, some protection, but it won't stop a head-on collision. So learn the kicks, definitely, but know how they plug into the whole fighting system.
Okay, solid foundation. We get the why. So let's get into the how. Where does he start with the actual mechanics?
Right, so after the philosophy, she jumps into the building blocks. And first up is stance. He calls it the 12-point stance.
12-point stance. What's the deal with that?
It's interesting. It's basically a boxing stance that's been tweaked, adapted for MMA, where you've constantly got the threat of takedowns.
Okay, so it balances striking, defense, and that anti-takedown aspect.
Pretty much. It gives you a good base for power, keeps you protected upstairs, but also lets you react quickly to shoot attempts or even initiate them yourself.
Can you kind of break down the key parts? What are these 12 points?
Okay, imagine you're on a clock face, right-handed. Yeah. Lead foot points to 12, rear foot's maybe around 8 o'clock, southpaw, just flip it. Feet are about shoulder width. Gotta have that stable base. Toes point slightly in, helps with turning power. Weights on the balls of your feet so you're light, ready to move. Knees bent slightly, never locked. Absorbs shock, helps generate power.
Standard stuff, so.
Yeah. Hands are up, obviously. Rear hand guarding the chin, lead hand a bit forward, shoulder height maybe. Elbows tucked in tight, protect those ribs. Forearms kind of parallel. Chin down, shoulders slightly shrugged up to shield the neck.
Sounds pretty solid. Covers the bases, offense, defense, ready for grappling. Not just standing there, but ready.
Exactly. And he stresses this isn't rigid, it's dynamic. It's a reference point you come back to as you move.
Right.
Even when you're moving, those principles, balance, protection should still be there. He really pushes practicing in front of a mirror first. Just get the posture right before throwing anything.
Makes sense. Get the foundation solid. Okay, stance is down. What's next?
Footwork, which, as he rightly says, is so fundamental but often gets skipped over, especially by beginners.
Yeah, not as sexy as a knockout kick.
For sure. But he argues, for experienced fighters, footwork is often the difference maker. It's how you control distance, create angles, dodge shots, being the hitter, not the hitty, as he puts it.
And he has specific rules, right? The laws of footwork.
He does. First, keep that shoulder width stance, even when moving. Too narrow, you're unstable, less power. Second, no hopping or bouncing. Wastes energy, slows you down, kills balance.
Okay.
Third, lead foot is the one closer to the opponent. Trail foot is further back, unless you switch stance, obviously. Fourth, huge GE1, never cross your feet, moving any direction. Major balance killer, leaves you wide open.
Right, classic mistake.
Fifth, keep your feet grounded as much as possible. Think step and drag, not big listing steps. Sixth, want to move right, step right foot first, drag the left, move forward, step lead foot, drag rear. Except for stance shifts.
Step in the direction you want to go.
Basically, yeah. And last, again, use a mirror, check yourself, then get a partner to watch you, catch mistakes.
All sounds like solid advice for staying balanced, moving efficiently.
Absolutely. And then he introduces this cool concept, the Nomen principle.
Nomen. Sounds kind of technical.
It's a bit jargony, but the idea is simple. A nomen is the sticky up bit on a sundial, right?
Okay.
He wants you to picture yourself as the nomen on your sundial, the mat, the ring, whatever. 12 o'clock is straight ahead, 6 is behind, 3 right, 9 left, and all the points in between.
Ah, okay. It's a mental map for directions relative to you. It's like an internal compass.
Exactly. And with that map, he lays out specific footwork drills using those clock positions. Step drag forward to 12, back to 6. Step drag outside 3 for righties, 9 for lefties. Step drag inside 9 for right, 3 for left.
Okay, covering the basics. basic lines.
Then stance shifts. Step lead foot 45 degrees outside, 2 o'clock right, 10 left. Stance shift forward 45 degrees inside, 10 right, 2 left. Stance shift back 45 outside, 5 right, 7 left. Step back 45 inside, 7 right, 5 left.
Getting into angles now.
Yeah. And finally, pivots. Pivot on the lead foot to face inside. Rear foot swings to 10 right, 2 left. Pivot on lead foot to face outside. Rear foot swings to 5 right, 7 left.
Wow, that's really thorough. Covering pretty much every way you'd need to move, and he wants you practicing strikes while doing this footwork. Yeah.
Definitely. Mastering the steps is phase 1. Then you got to integrate, throw your kicks, your punches, while moving in all these directions, hitting hard and accurately while moving. That's crucial in a real strap.
Absolutely. Okay, stance. Footwork foundations laid. Now the fun part, the actual low kicks.
Yeah.
Starting with outside range, right? No grappling yet.
Right. Outside range, no grabbing, no clinching. And the first weapon he covers is the rear thigh kick. He calls this one fundamental, super effective.
Like the standard Muay Thai kick people might know.
Similar, yeah. But he emphasizes maybe a slightly less committed follow-through, just a touch.
Why is that?
For faster recovery. Lets you throw combos quicker, keeps you safer, less likely to turn your back completely. You might sacrifice a tiny fraction of power, but you gain speed and safety.
Okay, trade-off. Makes sense. So how do you throw it right, according to him? What are the mechanics?
Okay, right lead stance again. Small step with the lead foot, maybe towards 2 o'clock. Then pivot on the ball of that lead foot and swing the rear leg up from the floor. Aim for the inside or outside of their thigh.
And where do you hit with?
Crucial point. Use the lower part of your tibia, that hard, flat bit on the front of your shin. He warns strongly, don't hit with your ankle or the top of your foot, asking for injury.
Ouch, yeah. Shin it is. What else?
Retract the leg fast. Same path back as it went out. He calls it negative speed, how fast it returns. That's key for follow-ups, staying defensive. Think of the leg like a club being swung. Don't try to add a weird snap with the quad muscle at the end.
Let the momentum do the work.
Pretty much. And interestingly, he says let the leg dip slightly down on impact by rolling your hip over downwards. The hip is the engine here. Lead with the hip, the leg follows. Snapping the hip forward is where the power comes from, not just swinging the leg wildly.
Okay, hip-driven swing, hit with the lower shin, quick retraction. Got it. What's next in the outside toolkit?
Rear kick to the ankle.
Ankle, okay.
It's the exact same motion as a thigh kick. Same swing, same pivot. Just change the target. Aim for the inner or outer ankle or that lower shin area.
Why the ankle specifically?
It's often overlooked, but man, it can hurt. Plus, hitting the ankle can easily make someone stumble, right? Opens them up for sweeps, takedowns, and it's unexpected. People guard their thighs, maybe not their ankles so much.
Huh. Disrupts mobility, stability. Sneaky. What other rear leg options from outside?
Then there's the jumping rear kick to the thigh. Now hold on. He clarifies this isn't some big flying leap.
Okay.
It uses a shuffle step to close distance quickly if the opponent is staying just out of range. You push off your back foot, lunge forward with the lead foot towards that 2 o'clock spot, or 10 for lefties. As soon as that lead foot lands, bam, throw the standard rear thigh kick.
So the jump is really just a fast entry.
Exactly. It's about closing the gap fast.
Right.
He advises against using this jumping entry for an ankle kick, though.
Why not?
Because that whole body movement forward makes it too obvious. Gives them too much time to just lift their foot. The thigh is a bigger, more reliable target when you're coming in like that.
Okay, makes sense. Gap closer, not an aerial attack. What about lead leg kicks from outside?
He starts with the switch kick, targeting thigh or ankle again. A switch kick is basically mirroring the rear kick, but off your lead leg.
How do you get power from the lead leg like that?
Key is a quick stance change right before the kick. Right lead again. You quickly hop or skip your right foot back towards 5 o'clock, and your left foot hops forward to 10 o'clock. Do it fast, simultaneously. Boom, your old lead leg is now in the rear power position. Then you just throw the kick.
Ah, that quick switch loads it up. Sneaky, probably generates good power.
Definitely. He also offers a slightly less dynamic way to do it, the slide switch kick. Thigh or ankle target again.
Slide switch.
Instead of hop skip, you drive off the rear foot, slide the lead foot forward towards 2, or 10 for lefties, then step the rear foot forward to about 12 o'clock. From that slightly adjusted stance, you throw the rear kick with what was your lead leg.
So more grounded, maybe less obvious than the skip.
Maybe. He says even though it might look slower, practice it fast. The footwork itself can sometimes confuse the opponent anyway.
Okay, another way to load the lead leg. What about just a straight-up lead leg kick, no switching?
That's the inside kick, thigh or ankle target. This one's described as just bringing the lead leg straight up, No preloading hip turn, no shuffle, no slide, just ground to target.
Less power then, presumably.
Yeah, probably less raw power than a full hip turn kick, but it makes up for it in speed and being really hard to see coming, non-telegraphic. He does say try to get a little hip roll at impact if you can, just to add some sting.
Speed and surprise definitely have value. Setting things up. Any variations on that basic inside kick?
Yeah, a few useful ones. First, the shuffle in inside kick, thigh ankle. This is your tool when they keep backing up, staying just out of range.
How does the shuffle work?
You do a quick shuffle, slide the rear foot up towards the lead foot, breaking that footwork rule temporarily, then immediately drive off that rear leg to launch the inside kick with the lead leg. He stresses practicing that shuffle to get it explosive, cover ground fast.
Right. Quick way to close the gap for that sneaky inside kick.
Exactly. Then he introduces the shuffle in point round kick, thigh or groin target.
Point round. Striking surface changes.
Yep. Now you're hitting with the ball of the foot or the point of your shoe. You lift the lead knee high like you're starting a front kick to the body, but then you roll the hips over so your hip points at the target, and you snap the lower leg out using the quad.
More of a snapping motion.
Yeah, less of a power swing. It's not a knockout shot, but that small, hard impact can be really unpleasant, especially in combos. And he notes the groin strike version works best if you're both in a matched laid same leg forward.
Okay. Point of foot, sharp, targeted. What's the twist point kick?
Kind of the opposite motion, inverted version of the poat round. Thigh or groin again. Instead of snapping out, it's an E-word twisting flick of the lead leg coming from below the ankle. All about maximum snap, speed, minimum telegraphing.
Inward twist.
Yeah. And for the groin target with the twist point, he says that works better against an unmatched lead, opposite legs forward.
Interesting how the stance affects the groin shot options. Okay, what about these other ones?
Yeah.
Barks and purring kicks sound kind of weird.
Yeah, they have specific uses, often self-defense focused. The lead and rear barks are best with shoes on. Hard point of the shoe.
Target.
Shin or knee. You just use the ball of your foot or shoe toe. Simple hinge at the knee. Minimal wind-up, maximum speed. Think quick, disruptive taps, not power shots. Land a few fast. The rear bark is just the same idea off the back leg. Shorter, choppier.
Speed and volume make sense for self-defense, especially with shoes. Okay, purring kicks. Yeah. Why purring?
The rear purring kick, again, self-defense, best with shoes. He jokes it comes from a Welsh drinking game where guys kicked each other's shins.
Seriously? How does it work?
You slide your rear foot along the floor towards their lead shin, toes pointing at them initially. Just before impact, quick snap, toes out, heel in, strike with the inner arch of your foot shoe.
Slide and snap.
Yep. The lead purring kick is the same idea, but adds a little shuffle in step first just to get a bit more speed, because these rely on surprise and speed, not brute force.
So drinking game defense. Gotta love it. What about the coup de pied bas? French name, different origin.
It is. From Savate French boxing. Close cousin to the purring kick, same target shin, same striking surface inner arch heel area. But the delivery's different.
How so?
Instead of the snap, your foot scuffs or scrapes along the floor right up until the moment of impact, then you release the energy, dragging the heel towards the target, then pop. The lead version adds a little shuffle drag before the scuff for more snap.
Scrapes along the floor.
Yeah.
Distinctive. Okay, last ones for outside range. Field goals. Sounds targeted.
Lead and rear field goals. Definitely self-defense kicks. And yeah, target is specific and sensitive. The groin.
How do you throw them?
Lift the knee high, like you're going to knee them. Then sharply snap the shin, not the foot, upwards into the groin. Both lead and rear versions, Hatmaker says the intention should be to try and lift them off the ground.
Oof. Yeah, that sounds like a fight under. Okay, massive list of outside low kicks. What happens when things get close? You end up in a clinch.
Right, so he transitions to kicking inside a clinch, which he defines broadly any kind of grabbing or holding contact. He notes that clinch entry and control isn't covered here, just the kicking from there.
Gotcha. So how do the kicks change in close?
Interestingly, a lot of them are variations of the outside kicks, lead and rear purring kicks, lead and rear coup de pied boss, they still work. Same mechanics, mostly just obviously less space to wind up. Dynamics change.
So the principles carry over, just tighter execution.
Yeah.
What about kicks specifically for clinch range?
He introduces the lead and rear grater. This one sounds particularly nasty, designed for shoes again.
Grater. Like a cheese grater.
Kind of the motion, yeah. It's a combo.
Huh.
Start with a purring kick to the shin. On contact, instead of pulling back, you forcefully drag the arch of your shoe down their shin, like grating it. They immediately follow with a hard heel stomp on their foot.
Wow. Purr, grate, stomp. One continuous move?
Yeah, that's the key. Should flow together. Brutal.
Sounds incredibly painful. Definitely self-defense focused. What else for the clinch?
The leader barks work well close in too, especially with shoe toes. Then he brings in a traditional kick adapted for clinch, the rear inside crescent kick.
Crescent kick in close.
How? You use the inside of your shin, short chopping snap from the knee, bring the leg from outside their thigh shin inwards. Sharp impact. He mentions a lead version too.
Interesting application for a crescent. What about foot stomps? Seems logical in a clinch.
Covers toes out and toes in stomps. Best with toes up, driving the heel down. Hardest part of the foot. Their toes, the top of their foot, instep, or where the ankle meets the shin. Toes out is common because you're usually facing them. Toes in if you're angled sideways. Hit hard, get back to balance fast. Both lead and rear leg.
Stomps seem like a good way to break balance, cause pain quickly and close. What's foot trapping?
That follows a grater or stomp. After you hit their foot shin, instead of pulling back, you leave your weight on their foot. Then give them a hard shove.
Trap the foot, then push.
Yeah. Best case, maybe break the foot. Worst case, they lose balance badly. Maybe go down.
Clever follow-up. What about step right up? Sounds like a carnival game.
Huh. It's more advanced. Combines foot trapping with a specific body lock from his clinch book. Once the foot's trapped, you use the body lock leverage to lift up, hyperextending their trapped ankle.
Pouch. Needs strength, though.
Yeah, he notes it's probably better for bigger folks with a strength advantage. Less reliable for smaller fighters.
Makes sense. Last clinch kick. Heel chops. Sounds rough.
They are. Described as nasty, lead or rear leg. Target is the outside tendon of their knee. Super sensitive spot.
How do you get that?
Lift your kicking knee waist high, heel positioned outside their knee. Then use your hamstring to sharply snap the heel inwards and downwards. A scooping motion right into that tendon.
Double ouch. Serious damage potential there. Limit mobility instantly. Okay, moving out from the clinch again. Section on cut kicking. What's that about?
Cut kicking is more advanced, timing-based, specifically for countering high kicks.
Countering high kicks. How?
The idea is, as they throw a high kick, you hit their supporting leg, the one they're standing on, with a quick low kick. You're trying to cut their base out from under them, make them fall, disrupt the kick.
Needs good timing then.
Definitely.
Yep.
Relies on reading them. He suggests thinking about how often you actually face high kickers before dedicating tons of time to it. Easier against rear leg high kicks, too, because they take a bit longer to arrive.
So destabilize the mid-kick. What are the specific cut kicks?
Matched lead cut. You're both same stance. They throw a high rear kick. You quickly hit their standing leg with an inside low kick while leaning back to dodge their kick.
Okay. Lean back, kick the post.
Unmatched lead cut kick, opposite stances. They throw high rear kick. You use your rear kick to hit their standing leg. Again, lean back, keep your guard up. He also gives a simpler matched lead option. Just use a laid-leg side kick as the cut kick, still leaning back.
All require that timing and reading the opponent. Okay, next up. Rear clinch kicks. When do these happen?
Self-defense, mostly. Or rules allowing it. It's when someone has gotten behind you, got a rear clinch, arms around your waist.
Bad spot.
Very. He warns strongly. Don't sacrifice your balance trying these. Bend at the waist. Stay stable. Hands up protecting your head as much as possible. Only try them if you're sure you won't fall over.
Priority is stability. What kicks can you even do from there?
Mainly the standard toes out foot stomp, lead or rear leg, then the donkey kick to their shin or knee.
Donkey kick.
Lift your knee behind you, leg bent 90 degrees, chop the heel straight back into their lower leg. Finally, heel scoop to the groin. Similar motion, but angle the heel upwards. Lead or rear leg again.
Desperation moves for a bad position, but maybe create some space.
Yeah.
Okay, book moves into combinations now. How does he approach linking kicks?
Right. First section is just kick combos. Punches come later. He notes kicking combos maybe don't flow quite as easily as punch combos sometimes.
Yeah, seems like it'd be harder.
So the examples are kept fairly simple. Goal is training leg speed, firing multiples. Not an exhaustive list, just examples to build on. Get the legs used to firing fast.
And focusing on round kicks mainly, since they're common.
Exactly. Lots of examples. Double rear kicks, thigh ankle, double switch kicks, thigh ankle. Mixing targets. Rear ankle, then rear thigh, switch thigh, then switch ankle. Combinations mixing rear and switch kicks to different targets.
Building blocks.
Yeah. He also throws in combos using the other kicks, barks, purrs, inside kicks, even field goals. There's one cool one. Inside kick, lead side to far knee, done as one single motion, no putting the foot down. And a few 3-kick chains, too.
Sounds like a good way to develop speed and unpredictability. What about adding hands? Integrating kicks and punches?
This is key, obviously. Seamless integration. He references his other striking books for more hand stuff, then gives tons of examples. Jab, cross, rear kick, hook, switch kick, jab, jab kick, cross, inside kick, uppercut, rear stomp, weaving hands and low kicks together.
That integrated striking is vital for MMA or any well-rounded approach. Can't be just a kicker or just a puncher. Now, this section title, The Axe Murderer Series, sounds intense.
Yeah, named in tribute to Vanderlei Silva, famous for aggressive ground strikes. This section is all about kicking a downed opponent.
Okay. Ground and pound with feet.
He breaks it down. Position strikes. Kicking someone who's down but not flat, like in turtle or quarter position, on hands and knees. And then kicking a fully grounded opponent on their back, supine or stomach prone.
What kicks are used there?
Position strikes, mainly the soccer kick. Rear leg or lead leg via switch kick. Strike with the shin. Target depends on rule's head, brachial plexus nerve bundle, ribs. Also stomps with the heel, Achilles tendon, hands if they're covering up.
Okay. And against someone fully down.
Soccer kick to the head, again warns about hitting with ankle-line step, can hurt yourself. Stomps with the heel, head, body, feet. He includes the flying stomp too, but kind of advises against it, leaves you vulnerable if you miss.
Brutal stuff. Definitely fight finishing potential. He mentions a sprawling kick drill there too.
Yeah, drills the transition, partner shoots a takedown, you sprawl, pop back up immediately, and soccer kick the now downed partner. Builds that flow from takedown defense straight into ground offense.
Makes sense. Train the whole sequence. Could be offense from all angles. Now, the flip side, kick defense. Super important.
Absolutely essential. Can't just attack. Gotta defend. Two-way street, like you said. He suggests the same round structure for practicing defense as offense.
Where does he start with defense?
Low round kicks first. Main defense. The knee check.
Just lifting the knee.
More than that. Actively bring the knee up and point it into the kick's path. He even suggests pulling your heel back towards your butt a bit. Creates a ramp with the shin knee. Helps deflect, lessens impact. Covers standard check, opposite leg, and cross knee check, same side leg.
Point the knee into it. Okay. What else for low rounds?
Simple stuff. Step back out of range. Use a stance shift to change distance angle. And the foot jab stop kick quick jab with your foot to their hip or kicking leg. Disrupts their balance or power, like jabbing a hook in boxing.
Practical options. Absorb, evade, or disrupt. What about higher kicks? Body or head rounds?
For high and medium rounds, the stonewall defense. Same folded arm guard you'd use against a high hook punch.
Okay.
Forearm up across the face, elbow tucked. Lean into the kick slightly on impact. Reduces the power angle, spreads force across the forearm. Same idea lower down for body kicks.
Solid, compact shield. What about straight kicks coming at you? Front kicks, push kicks, low down.
Low straight kicks, knee point, lift angle knee out of the way, or just step back, simple evasion. Medium straight kicks, body level. Stonewall again, close the forearms tight. Sink hips back slightly on impact. Hip fade, just shift hips back. Move the target.
Evade or absorb.
Or deflect. Use a knee check, almost like a little inside crescent motion to push it aside. Step back stance shift works too. Against jab kicks specifically. Step back and scoop. Use lead hand to scoop under their ankle. Pivot and scoop. Pivot inside, scoop the heel, maybe toss a leg. Scoop and cut. Scoop, immediately return a cut kick to their standing leg.
Wow, lots of options for straight kicks. Ranging from simple evasion to active counters. What about high straight kicks or those purring kicks?
High straights. Stonewall again, close the shells, rock back a bit, low purring kicks. But the purring point, use a high knee point to meet their incoming shin. And, sometimes the best defense against a low kick stomps, just lift your leg out of the way.
Simple but effective. He also mentions pickoffs. More aggressive defense.
Yeah, advanced stuff. Aim is to slightly change their kick's path so they kind of hurt themselves a bit on impact. Not fight enders, just make them hesitant to throw it again. He says master standard defense first.
Okay, how do they work?
High mid-round, kick pickoff. Use one hand to guide the kick onto your opposite elbow, knee drag. Use both forearms to slap the kick down, immediately fire an up knee to that same leg. And against any high kick, toe kick, quick lead, snap front kick straight to the groin. Especially good with shoes on.
Using their momentum, creating counter openings. Okay, then kicking chain drills. What are those for?
Building fluid sequences, offense, defense, counter, all linked together. Integrating kicks with everything else.
How do you train them?
Practice individual bits. First, the kick, the defense, the counter, 5-minute rounds each. Then link them. Then switch roles with partner, attacker, defender. He gives examples using inside kicks, rear kicks, jabs, crosses, scoops, knee checks, etc. against various attacks.
Building instinctive reactions, flow. Lastly, kicking conditioning drills, building power and toughness.
Yep. He prefers floor bags, the stand-up ones, over hanging bags for low kicks.
Why's that?
More resistance builds more power, often need a partner to hold them, gets feedback. Easier to transition to groundwork practice, too.
Makes sense. What kind of drills?
8-count kick squats, squats mixed with front round kicks, both legs, countdowns, decreasing reps of rear switch kicks on bag shield, bag walks, use rear kicks to push the bag across the room and back, and leg conditioning drills for pain tolerance.
Toughening the legs.
Yeah, things like elbow ride clinch with partners kicking each other's inner outer thighs, shin crescent kicks, gradually increase contact intensity 110 scale. But he says if pain tolerance isn't your main issue, maybe skip these.
So practical, resistance-based training for power and some optional toughness work.
Exactly.
Well, that was definitely a deep dive into low kicks. Drawing from Hatmaker's Kicking Bible, we covered, wow, a lot. The core philosophy, stance, footwork, a huge arsenal of kicks for outside, clinch, ground, defenses, conditioning.
Yeah, what really stands out is just how much strategy and depth there is to the humble low kick. It's not just simple. It's fundamentally high percentage, practical, relatively easy to learn, great for punishment and setting up bigger things.
And this book really gives that framework, doesn't it? Posture, movement, the tools for different ranges, how to defend. It really makes you appreciate it, that practical, results-first approach he takes, which is maybe different from the movie version of martial arts.
Which kind of leads to a final thought for the listener, doesn't it? If this focus on practical, high-percentage basics is so key in something as chaotic as fighting, how might that same idea, mastering the fundamentals, apply to getting better at, well, anything else you do, any other skill?
That's definitely something to chew on. And if folks want to go even deeper on Hatmaker's system striking, grappling, conditioning, the other books in his no-holds-barred fighting series are out there, plus his other work. Loads more detail. Great stuff. Thanks for joining us on the Deep Dive.